Let's move now to Cape Town, and it's the 5th week of the inquiry into suspended Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane. Today, Advocate Libuwani Chiwalule was on the stand. Now, Chiwalule was the lead investigator in the Absa matter. He left in 2017, soon after the Public Protector signed off on the controversial Absa report. And to give us an update, I'm joined by eNCA senior reporter Ayesha Ismail. Ayesha, thank you so much for joining us. Talk to me about this Absa matter and exactly what today's hearings have been about.
So, Sally, just a correction, Advocate Chiwalule left in December 2016, and today we heard from him what it was like working in the Public Protector's office, working with Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane. And as you say, this matter dates back to the dark days of apartheid. It was a loan, it was a bailout actually by Bank got this loan from the South African Reserve Bank, and this matter was brought to the attention of the Public Protector. In fact, it was actually before Advocate Madunsela, and then it was not completed, and it was Advocate Mkhwebane who then took over the completion of that report. And to cut a very, very long story short, because the hearings went on for hours today, what happened was that Advocate Mkhwebane made a finding that Absa needed to repay this loan. But the minute she submitted this final report, there was a court action, a challenge by the Minister of Finance, the South African Reserve Bank, as well as Absa. And they were saying that at no stage did she even inform them that they were being investigated. They did not have an opportunity to respond to the allegations against them. It also turns out that some of the money, when they believe that that was the amount that they needed to pay back, just over R1 billion had been paid back to the South African Reserve Bank. And then, of course, the issue of prescription came up. Because the loan had been taken out such a long time ago, it was found that the Public Protector actually did not have the power to investigate that loan. The other thing that also came up, Sally, was the issue of her wanting to, or rather recommending, that the mandate of the Reserve Bank be changed. But let's listen what happened today.
You both agreed that there was an amount that was due, but you regarded the amount as recoverable and she regarded it as unrecoverable. Am I correct?
Correct.
And did you both agree on the amount that was due?
Yes, we both agreed on the amount that was due.
And is it correct then that the amount would have been the interest only, and you accepted the submissions that yes, 1.5 billion capital had been paid?
Yes, yeah. So we were quite clear on that issue, and the information only came arose somewhere around September, after we had interviewed Dr. Crystals. That's when we were quite certain that the capital or the loan had been repaid. We got information as far as that is concerned, so we were quite clear on that one. The only issue was the issue of interest.
Thank you. And so that does take me to the sequence, because you spoke about the former Reserve Bank Governor Crystals giving lots of evidence to prove. I think you said that he wanted to provide a lot of evidence which would prove that the loan had been paid.
Yes.
So when you came to the conclusion or the finding that there was an amount that was still due, had you considered all of this evidence that Mr. Stolz had provided?
Yes.
So this was after what you called, I think, fairly substantial amount of evidence?
Correct.
That's right.
Okay, so this went on for hours, Ayesha, I understand. It's been a long day. The issue of the mandate of the Reserve Bank and possibly changing it also coming up. Just tell me a little bit more about that.
And so Advocate Chiwalule was also asked about whether the Public Protector, the current Public Protector, was influenced when she did her report, because he was saying that he was quite surprised that although he had already left the employ of the Public Protector, he had noticed that the final report, certain things had been taken out of the final report, and he was also asked about whether the Public Protector had been influenced by outside forces, namely Black Land First, and he said that he was not aware of that, but he did say that Black Land First did stage a they had a protest outside the office of Thuli Madonsela because they felt there were certain matters that had not been properly investigated and not completed. But coming back to the issue of further investigation, Advocate Chiwalela also talked about the fact that so many people had left the Public Protector's office when Busisiwe Mkhwebane took over, and he was saying that he was quite surprised that he was retained for such a long time. This is what he had to say.
I consider it to be an exodus of, there was this thing that happened, Chair, where there was a briefing that was supposed to happen. I think it did happen. It was quite a brief one on the 14th, on the last day of the former PP, where we were called. I remember we were working on reports, and we were called to say we must come in because the new PP has arrived to meet with the Public Protector. She did the introduction to the current PP to say these are the people who are working here. During that period, I think I was working with Janine Hicks, who was the special advisor to the former PP. She was brought in to speed up the process of quality assurance reports as well. There was also Belinda Moses, who was a senior manager in the office, and there was also Tembinkosi Dlamini, if my memory serves me well. He was the chief of staff at that particular time. He was working with us. The three officials were then in few weeks, I think few days or so, my memory serves me well, they were no longer there, some of those officials.
And Advocate Dalio Mpofu, of course, is acting for the Public Protector. He made some interesting comments about judgments. Let's take a listen.
Is it so that one of the findings that Advocate Madonsela had made was for improper conduct and maladministration on the part of what was then fashionably known as the 3 TMs? It involved Minister Trevor Manuel, involved Minister Tito Mboweni in his later capacity, not as a minister, and also President Thabo Mbeki. Those were some of the role players, correct?
Yeah, very interesting indeed. I think we're going to leave you to tell us more about this because I understand it continues tomorrow. There's so much coming up, but thank you for crystallizing today's important moments. That, of course, is eNCA senior reporter Ayesha Ismail.